afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm James Allen. This is James L. Allen, Country Cooking and Variety Show. I'm here today with a distinguished guest, friend of mine, Sheriff Scott Jones. He's the sheriff of the 7th largest sheriff's department in the United States. What is it, 1,300 officers?
Yeah, just under 1,500.
Oh, God. Well, as I said once before, that's a lot of people to have under.
It is a
you're
lot.
As good as your leader.
They are fortunately a phenomenal group of men and women.
Well, like I said, when the incident that I still think about, and a lot of people do with Danny Oliver, you guys, I know you're brothers and sisters, but you guys came together.
We did.
And you tightened things up quick.
It's a very, very tough day for us in our history, and we're still recovering from that in a lot of ways. But you're right, we do come together as a family, and nothing brings family together like tragedy.
Yeah, that's it. Now, I don't have a lot of questions to ask you, Scott. I'm going to give the ball to you, let you run with it, okay?
Sure.
But I know that you're running against Army Perry.
I am.
And my opinion, if you're in it, you're doing a good job. And I have to remain neutral, as you know, but why do you have to wait? Okay? If you're doing what the people want you to do, it shouldn't have to be a waiting period. What do you
Well,
think?
I can tell you that being a politician in any arena, whether it's sheriff or congressman, is incredibly difficult, and you're obviously never going to please everyone. I can tell you that I've already gotten the endorsement of the Sacramento County Republican Party, which is a little unusual because they normally wait until after the filing deadline at least to see what the field looks like.
But you got a track record, though, Scott.
I do, and we both do. And at the end of the day, Dr. Berra has 4 years in Congress for which he can be judged on what he has done and what he maybe has not done. And I've got 5 years as a sheriff. That you can judge me on what I've done and perhaps what I've not done.
Backing you up, too.
And I have a law degree, so that either helps or hinders. I'm not sure which yet, but yeah, it's a difficult mandate being a politician, especially for such a large and diverse community such as Sacramento County. So I have little doubt that he will get support of the state party and the national party and all of that. But whether you're sheriff or congressman, you have to remain connected and responsive to the communities that you serve.
Okay, well, this is his second term in, and I know, like you see, with any race, it's a wait-and-see situation, but, and like I say, I have to remain neutral, but I hear a lot of good things out there about you, Scott. Okay?
I appreciate that. I've spent my 5 years as sheriff doing sheriffly things, and that is building relationships with the community, getting my folks inside the department the resources they need, and then getting out of their way and letting them do it. But the relationships, the connections I've made with all of our diverse communities, whether it's geographically based or ethnically based or religiously based, I've spent a lot of effort in that. And I think, those sort of, never with an eye towards running for Congress, but really with an eye towards being a good sheriff and building that relationship.
Now, last time we did an interview, you mentioned, and I had mentioned about the Police Athletic League.
Yeah.
And you said you can't call it PAL, but you can call it SAL. Well, I was out one night off of Del Paso, and I saw this soccer game. It was all kind of parents out there. You remember I mentioned if you get to the parents, the kids first, the parents are going to come.
Right.
And I was amazed. I said, this is what Scott was talking about. It was people everywhere.
Our Sheriff's Activities League, the SAL, it touches literally thousands of young people a week. And so, it's a long-term strategy. And it's not just to keep people out of gangs and to let them see cops as good folks and build a relationship, although that's obviously an important goal, but it's also for potential recruiting. Diversity in law enforcement is a challenge. It's a challenge for everyone. It's no less so for us. And we have such a diverse community that we've spent a lot of effort trying to recruit diversity in our department. We've done very good. We did very well. In fact, we have a recent news report said we're the most representative department of all the ones that they interviewed, including the CHP and the Stockton Police Department. But it's still a challenge. And so hopefully, as these kids get a little older, they see cops as cool people, they'll want to join.
I don't think, Scott, that a lot of people realize you take care of the county outside of the city limits of Sacramento, and it's more than 1 million people out there that you guys have to have control of on certain situations.
Yeah, it's interesting. Most counties, we're unusual. Sacramento County is unusual for a couple of things. Most counties in the country, the population centers are in the cities, and so the cities are the largest population center. Well, in Sacramento County, it's the reverse. The largest population center in the county is in the unincorporated area, almost just under 700,000 people that we have direct primary law enforcement for, and then plus we have countywide services, which is about half of our department, with corrections, courthouse security, airport, Folsom Dam, all those things are countywide in scope, but we do direct law enforcement for almost 700,000 people.
Okay, how long have you been in law enforcement, Scott?
Since 1989, so
Okay,
going
long
on, was it 27 years this
Okay,
year?
okay.
I've been sheriff for 5
Now,
years.
what is it that you feel that you should do different from what Avi Barry has been doing, okay, when elected?
Well, I'll tell you, and I can only go with what, I'm not here to disparage Dr. Barra, but I can tell you what I've done, and by that maybe draw a contrast. And we talked a little bit about it before, we touched on it, and that's building relationships with the community. The other thing is that, my whole life, my whole adult life has been trying to protect the residents of Sacramento County. And so to the extent that I can do that, I think people in general across this country, and no less so in the county, are feeling very, very vulnerable right now. I don't think they feel particularly well protected against the terrorist threats that face us, whether ISIS or Al-Qaeda or Boko Haram or any of the others. We see what happened in San Bernardino and realize that even with the most stringent gun laws, those things can and do happen. And so people are feeling vulnerable, and I can certainly be a sense of order for that. That is my area of expertise, and so I can bring that.
You and I were talking about it, like you said, a lot of these terrorists, they're not just coming across just now, okay?
Right.
They're already here, and some of them have been here for years, okay, with an agenda in mind, okay?
Correct.
I was saying that I think every 6 months or so, you're either here on a student visa or whatever, you should be raked over the coals just a little bit, okay?
Well, we have tens of thousands of people here that have overstayed their visa from all sorts of countries, Syria and China, everywhere. And those people aren't being sought out. They'll do a brief kind of investigation, if you can call it that, and decide that they are not a threat, and they'll close the case, which means they're not looking for them. Tens of thousands. And so, do all of these people present a threat? I'd say no, they don't. But if we can agree, if both the liberals and the conservatives can say, well, 1%, well, 1% of 10,000 is still quite a number of them. And so maybe it's 0.1%, but that still means there's a tangible threat of folks in this country that may intend to do us harm. And plus you have the threat of homegrown radicalization on the internet that we saw, at least with the male in San Bernardino. Now, he went to extraordinary efforts to get in his wife on a fiancé visa, which is a horrible process. As we found out, she was never interviewed by anyone. And she even put down a false address in Pakistan that was never even verified.
See, what you were saying now is something you said when I talked to you in the interview before, as far as people getting licenses or whatever. You go down to DMV, they ask you a few questions, okay, you're good to go. How come things aren't a little more thorough? Okay, how come you guys aren't connected into the loop more so than what you are?
I can tell you it's a mess. And, ever since our officers were killed, my officer and the Placer County deputy was killed last year, obviously, immigration reform has been a central kind of passion of mine, and I've been to become part of the national discussion. I did a video plea to the president. You can Google it on YouTube. I had no idea it was going to go viral and be seen millions of times. And so
but a lot of people think the way you're thinking. Okay, that makes a difference.
Well, I think they're scared. I think they want to know
like
that their government is protecting them.
A lot more than a lot of other things.
That's exactly right.
Now, I'm familiar. I'm from Oklahoma, as you know, and Timothy McVeigh.
Yeah, right.
Okay, like you said, homegrown terrorists too. Okay, so it's bad enough you got to worry about people from other countries. You got to worry about people from your own country. Okay.
Well, and people talk about, well, we shouldn't use Islamic extremism because it paints a hole, and I don't necessarily agree with that. It is Islamic extremism that's causing this terroristic acts. It's not Islam. It's a perversion of Islam. But we just as likely have Christian extremists, the people that kill the Planned Parenthood doctors. We have government extremists like Timothy McVeigh in the Oklahoma City bombing, where he, under the auspices, under the authority that he thought he had under the Constitution, he was a radical constitutionalist. So the Muslims don't own radicalization, but we need to call it what it is, and that helps us. And 10 years from now, 20 years from now, it'll be something else. In World War II was German extremisms that were Nazis that we were fighting. No one would think that all Germans held the same perverse views that the Nazis did in their secret of what they were doing, which was later found out. But it's no less different. And so it's important for all of us to stick together. It's important for all of us to embrace as one community. But let's do it with our eyes open, and let's do what we can to keep people safe. And I think that's what people are feeling right now.
Okay, now your first term in office as in Congressman, what do you plan to do?
Well, I first plan on getting elected. I haven't thought too much past that.
Oh, well,
but the reality is, I appreciate
that.
that. But the reality is there are some things I want to do. In fact, some of the discussions I've had with the Republican Party leadership even prior to agreeing, is that, look, I don't want to go there and spend 6 years trying to get on a committee that I have expertise or passion in. I said, there's only one reason I'm going to Congress. It's not to build my resume. It's not my next career step. I'm only going there if I can make a change. And so if I can't, if those planets don't line up, then I'll stay here and I'll use whatever political voice I can to affect change as sheriff, which I can get in front of a camera and I can throw rocks.
As you were saying before, though, as sheriff of Sacramento County, you got more constituents than most congressmen, most
twice as
senators,
many.
and everybody.
Yeah, twice as many. More than it's the largest political constituency in Northern California, of any kind. And so, that was part of the discussion. I said, I need to get there and work on the issues that I want to work on, which is immigration reform, which is homeland, national, and homeland security. And I was assured that I would have a voice and would be able to work on those issues. And so that helped tip the balance in favor of me actually running and resigning from this post, retiring from this post early.
Okay, I will let you know, I did reach out, which we have to, when we have one person in a political party running. I reached out to Mr. Berry. They will be coming in for an interview sometime in the future. They didn't want to do it on the day with you, okay? But they're coming, okay? And of course, some of the questions I've asked you, I will be asking them too. But Scott, I've known you for a while, okay? And I think you're doing an excellent job here as sheriff, okay? And I don't see why you wouldn't do a good job if elected as congressman.
Thanks,
okay?
I appreciate it.
But like you say, you've got a lot of people and a lot of different avenues that are giving you support, okay? Like you said, not really, they can't say endorsements, but support.
Sure.
Okay.
It's been overwhelming. It's actually been very reassuring, and it kind of feeds me. It gives me energy as I go through this. Just the excitement and support that this campaign is generating from all the different diverse communities that I've had relationships with 5 years. So it's it hones in on my mind that I'm doing the right thing at the right time for the right reasons.
Okay, Scott, I'm a little bit older than you, but to me, in the times that I've interacted with you, I think you got an attitude kind of like mine. Once I latch on to something, I don't like to let go. I like to follow it to the end.
That's right.
Okay, and I think that about you. Okay. Now, I'm not going to say anything else. You just tell people out there that are viewing us what you have planned for the future. Okay.
There's a couple of things. I've not been shy about certainly standing up and speaking out on issues in front of the cameras that affect public safety. That won't be, that'll still be the same. In fact, a more expansive view as it relates to more national issues, as well as issues here at home. There's a whole host of federal issues that are important to people. There's water, right? There's water control, retention of water. There's trade, all those things. And I'll be the first to tell you that those are going to take a little bit to get up to speed on. But there won't be any mystery where I stand. I'll still stand up and tell people where I stand and tell people what they need to know.
So in other words, what you're saying, you got to keep in touch and keep us informed as to what's going on there for us.
You've got my cell number.
Okay. I wish you the best.
Thank you.
Okay. And like I said, if there's anything you like to do, we could wrap this up if you want to, or if you want to keep going, hey, the time is yours. Okay.
Well, Ian, I can tell you, and just kind of to put a fine point on it, is you don't have, the folks in this District 7 don't have to vote on two unknowns. We're both known. We both have a record on which we can be judged. I know Dr. Berra. He's a nice guy, very nice man, but he has to be answerable for his record. I have to be, just as I have to be answerable for mine. And so, the folks in District 7 that are going to be voting for this particular congressional race, that's their job. They just need to figure out what folks have done in the last 4, or in my case 5 years, and decide who's going to carry that best forward into the future to represent them in the future. And then whether it's him or whether it's me, we're going to have to keep working for this job. As you know, it's a 2-year cycle. And so this job is not a job that you get in and you rest. It's a job that you continually have to earn.
Okay, now the thing with Danny Oliver, I know that's going to be up at the top of your list. I know you guys have got a memorial for him, but so this doesn't happen again. Okay, like this guy had been here 4 times. I see that he wasn't allowed to be put as he was mentally ill. They are going to try him. Okay.
Right.
I know you're going to be working on that. Okay.
I most certainly am.
And it was a tragic thing, and it's something that needs to be addressed. And I will be touching base with you. Okay. The closer we get to election time, I'll give you a ring or you give me a ring.
All right,
okay?
That sounds good.
But hey, I'm glad you could come down.
It's my
today,
pleasure.
Okay, now folks out there, if you've got cable, you're on the internet, you can catch us at Comcast Cable Channel 18, Sure West Cable 18, AT&T U-verse 14. We've got 250,000 listeners here in the Sacramento area on Channel 18 Comcast and Channel 18 Sure West. AT&T and YouTube, we're picking up another 250,000. So we've got 500,000 viewers out there.
Wonderful.
And listeners that tuned into us, okay? You're welcome anytime, Scott.
Thank you. I appreciate
Okay.
the invitation.
Okay, take care.
Thanks, folks.